build the future without focusing on what happened in the past.
Hey everyone, as we observe Black History Month this week on the Trailblazers, we feature a young man from Nairobi, Kenya, who is the founder of the global Pan-Africanism network, as well as the United States of Africa. His name?
That is Daniel Mwambonu.
And he has quite a phenomenal story. He was once a pump attendant, but has been able to transform his life and will be sharing with us his strategies, as well as the work and role of his organization impacting lives right across the globe. Stay tuned.
I took a 75% beautiful black X5 to drive in a Tito, a second hand.
And Oprah grabbed my hand. She was like, all right, show me.
One thing that I learned from Steve Harvey's Obstacle, I remember he had gotten fired from that particular radio station.
If you don't get single-minded and push certain things, they never get accomplished.
Yes, you have to be resolute in your purpose. That's
right. And you have to put a timeline on it. That must be done by.
Hey everyone, I am Tamara McKayle, producer and host of the Trailblazers series. Remember to hit the notification bell right below, subscribe, like, comment, and share. And join the Trailblazers family for weekly inspirational episodes every Sunday.
I'm Daniel Mwambonu, founder of Global Pan-Africanism Network from Nairobi, Kenya. You're watching Trailblazers with Tamara McKayle.
Daniel Mwambono is a Kenyan international human rights activist, Pan-Africanist, and an African nationalist. He is the founder of the United States of Africa, which was inspired by Marcus Garvey's poem, Hail, United States of Africa. He is also the founder of African Business Month, as well as the president and founder of Global Pan-Africanism Network, an international civil rights and Pan-African organization. Daniel Mwambono has been featured in several international media outlets, including 90 Minutes in Africa and Voice of America VOA News. Hi Daniel, it is a pleasure to have you joining us on the Trailblazers.
Greetings, Tamara. I'm really delighted to be in your show.
Thank you so much. And all the way in Nairobi, Kenya, that's where you're at, right?
Yeah, I'm in Nairobi, Kenya.
That is indeed amazing. So, yes, starting off, because you have quite an interesting story. You, as we mentioned at the top of the program, you have a lot of titles behind your name, the Global Pan-Africanism Network, and all of these amazing initiatives that you are doing as an advocate. And especially, sometimes we often shed the spotlight during Black History Month, but this is something that you're doing all year round.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
To me, I believe each day is Black History Month for me.
Exactly. It's not just 1 month in the year. All right. So just jumping into your story, because you have quite a phenomenal story. I understand that you started out as a pump attendant. Tell me about that.
I started as a pump attendant in 2013, and that was my first job.
Okay, and just to clarify, what is a pump attendant for those? Because when I heard initially pump attendant, I thought that was like as a petrol station, or in Jamaica we call it a gas station, but that's not the case.
For the pump attendant, he's in charge of managing the pumping machine which pumps water and ensures that water is applied to the entire town. So I was based in Kwale then, and I also doubled as a lineman, which means that I used to take care of the water channels, the pipeline itself. When it needs any repairs, we used to replace the pipeline to ensure that people have access to water.
Interesting. So tell me about your upbringing. Where did you grow up? I know you're in Kenya, but about your early years and everything like that.
I grew in a humble town of Taita Hills, and in Kenya. It's a very hilly area. And I remember that when I was going to school, I used to run to school barefooted, and it was the school was just located at the bottom of a hill known as Yale Hill, and it was very cold there. And that time we were wearing shorts. So I remember one time that my hands froze and I couldn't even write.
Wow.
So because of the cold weather there, but I still managed to be at the top of the class in spite of all that.
Mm-hmm. Tell us, what was your way of life, in Kenya growing up?
Growing up, many people say that I'm the most difficult person to understand because I had a very small circle of friends, and I grew up with a set of principles that helped me really attain my objectives. At a tender age, I was a businessman, and I used to sell mandazis. They're used for breakfast.
What do you sell?
Mandazis.
Mandazis?
Yeah.
What's that?
They're used for breakfast. If you Google it, you're going to see it's a very famous Swahili dish.
Oh.
Swahili dish. Yeah, used for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to move them from home to home, and also selling avocados so that I can get some money to buy some books in primary school.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding of the world revolved around trying to make ends meet, and at the same time I was really a brilliant writer. Yeah. At one point in class 6, I wrote a composition which was read to class 8 students, and the teachers applauded how I described my holiday in Germany, yet I had never been there. And she thought even I was there.
So you were very good at those kind of things.
Yeah.
And education obviously was very important.
Yeah, it was extremely important because I realized how important education is. I saw so many friends that after acquiring education, they managed to go to very high places. So that is what really inspired me to take education seriously.
Definitely. So, I mean, moving forward, because we mentioned a bit in terms of your journey as a pump attendant and then moving up the ranks, how is it now that, at what point you decided you wanted to get involved in terms of Pan-Africanism?
It's only in 2016 that after working for Africa Mental Health Organization for 2 years as a data entry clerk, and then it came a time when the contract had come to an end and the organization had no sponsors. So that is the time that I began my journey towards becoming a Pan-Africanist. And I created a page in February 2016. I created a page named as United States of Africa, and began writing the African story because I realized the story of Africa is very distorted, and the way the Western media tells the narrative of Africa is from a defeated perspective, a conquered perspective. And I used that opportunity to rewrite the African story and inform people about the pre-colonial history of Africa, so that people of African descent can regain their lost pride and dignity.
Yes, and that is indeed so crucial because as someone myself that studied history in high school, for example, us here in the Caribbean, we know that, that we would be told we're descendants of slaves and things like that. But also I was shocked at one point in terms of learning back then as a high schooler that we were kings and princesses and, royalty. And often that kind of narrative is not shared.
Absolutely. Even in my high school, we were only taught about the history of colonization of Africa. And there's nothing much that we were taught about the pre-colonial history. And I remember that in my final exams in the high school education, I was the only person who scored a distinction in history subject. And I believe that as a Pan-Africanist, this has always been my passion. I'm very passionate about history. And I see this as an opportunity to tell the African story from an African perspective, while trying to mobilize people of African descent under the mission of Global Pan-Africanism Network to reunite all people of African descent. And we are not just uniting people to come and smile and dance. We are looking at unifying people so that we can address common challenges that people of African descent are facing. Over the years, we have faced systematic racism and marginalization as people of African descent. And the only way that we can be able to confront and overcome these challenges and stereotypes that are associated with people of African descent is for us to come together and begin to develop ourselves economically, socially, culturally, educationally, and also technologically, so that we can follow on the footsteps of Marcus Garvey, who urged us to create for self and do it for self. So this is why it's important in this 21st century to develop a mindset of self-reliance. In Africa, many countries are dependent on foreign aid. And this is, I believe, the same for Caribbean. And the only way that we can attain economic independence is for us to begin to develop this attitude and culture of self-reliance, living within our means and utilizing our natural resources for our own development, as opposed to giving these natural resources to foreign companies so that they can exploit them and then hire us as laborers.
Yes. You made some very crucial, strong points there. I mean, and you mentioned Marcus Garvey, who, as here in Jamaica, he's our first national hero. But some would look on and say, Daniel, that the Pan-African, especially the Pan-Africanism movement has, long gone in a sense, because the era of Marcus Garvey is no more. And, I remember even names such as Kwame Nkrumah or, figures like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. And these men, they made an impact, yes. And especially during Black History Month, now the month of February, the spotlight is shed on them. But at the same time, some would say that, the movement perhaps is no longer relevant.
Pan-Africanism contributed a lot to the independence of Africa. And these great Pan-Africanists like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and also Martin Luther King, Thomas Sankara, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, though the ideas are more than 100 years old, they are still relevant today. And this is what 21st century Pan-Africanists are building on. And we are now working to create Pan-African institutions so that we can institutionalize Pan-Africanism the same way that other leadership systems have been institutionalized. I believe that Pan-Africanism can be successful if it's made an institution, and it's inculcated into the hearts and minds of people of African descent wherever they are. And then for Pan-Africanism to be relevant in 21st century, it has to address the problems and challenges that people of African descent are facing, and not just empty rhetoric. In the past, Pan-Africanism has contributed to a lot to the civil rights movement. The African Americans were able to acquire the right to vote because of the presence of the Pan-Africanism movement. And till now, we see Black Lives Matter going on with the struggle of the civil rights movement, and many other Pan-African organizations. They have been very critical, especially in this Black History Month, These are the organizations that are promoting true education about Black history, which is very important because we cannot build the future without focusing on what happened in the past. And our history is very important to ensure that we build a society which is aware of its roots and also culture and values as people. And if you notice, Africa has somehow managed to maintain most of its culture. And if you go to Mali, you'll see there's a lot of historical artifacts in Egypt. And this is something that we need to promote true knowledge of African history and dissect Pan-Africanism into social, educational, technological, and all other aspects, so that even the young people today, they can be able to see Pan-Africanism being relevant in their lives.
Indeed, and again, some very relevant and some very sound points. And your organization, or I should say organizations, have been doing that in a myriad of ways. I know you have your African Business Month. Tell us quickly about that.
The African Business Month is an idea that I came up with an intention to provide a platform for people of African descent to be able to showcase their products and services and promote their businesses. And we held the first African Business Month, last year. It was very successful. And many businesses that took part in the African Business Month have recorded significant growth. And I found it very important because when we talk about Africans, we mean people of African descent, whether they're in the Caribbean, Pacific, the Melanesian Islands, in the United States, and in Europe. And the African Business Month managed to gather people of African descent to showcase their businesses from all over the world. And this is what now we are building on with the African Business Show, which is set to be launched very soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I quickly wanted to also touch on the fact that you have a group that you're in charge of, an organization that focuses on Black mental health. And I wanted to find out, how crucial do you think mental health matters is for the Black community? And do you think there is a need to separate it from a general mental health platform?
Yeah, but I believe that Black mental health has been neglected for many years, and it's part of medical discrimination when it comes to people of African descent with mental disabilities. They are discriminated more than any other race, and they have been left out. Many of them do not have access to healthcare, and we are using the Black Mental Health Matters as a platform to provide awareness on the importance of mental health, because there is no human who can survive without mental health, and it's a very critical part of a human being. That's why we find it important to have an organization which focuses on Black mental health and dispels myths that are associated with mental health when it comes to people of African descent. For example, in Africa, those experiencing mental health, they are told that they are bewitched. But we are using the show to tell people that mental illness is a serious illness, and it's not witchcraft. Yes. And people need to seek medical advice whenever they feel any symptoms of mental illness.
Indeed. Okay, so yes, Daniel, thank you so much for touching on those crucial points, especially as it relates to mental health among Black people. All right, so I wanted to zoom in a bit more again in terms of your journey and your personal journey. I mean, it must take a form of mental fortitude to be able to move from a pump attendant to now the founder of several impactful organizations. And tell us, what is it that you did? What were the kind of books that you read, or what did you do to be able to transform your life? And you're still a young man, so I mean, you must have put certain strategies in place.
Yeah, what I did is I was very persistent, and I set goals that I felt that within a certain time I must attain this. And I've been greatly inspired by Pan-African leaders like Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X. And I've been reading a lot of books about them, and a lot of books on African history. And saw what they did and what they were able to accomplish. For example, Marcus Garvey managed to accomplish a lot. His organization had more than 4 million members,
yes.
And throughout the struggle, I've been very hopeful, and I've never taught myself to give up, because I believe that the moment you give up, that's the moment that you lose the battle.
Yes.
And I also believe that there is nothing that is impossible. Any person is capable of becoming whatever he or she envisages. It just takes being persistent and also being consistent in whatever you aspire to achieve.
Wow!
And this is what inspired me after seeing that United States of Africa campaign was very successful. I went ahead to register Global Pan-Africanism Network as a non-profit corporation in Ghana in 2019. And in 2020, we registered United States of Africa as a non-profit corporation in the US to serve as a center to mobilize people of African descent, the African Americans, and also focus on the Latin America.
Okay, so that is so crucial, and I like that point in terms of the fact that anybody can achieve anything, no matter what, no matter the circumstances. They just have to be persistent and consistent, and that is such a note. I mean, the program is called the Trailblazers, and one of the things I want to share with our viewers is, how is it that, especially coming from humble beginnings, that you can set the path to transform your life? What are the practical steps that you think one must take, especially because we're focusing in this interview on a lot of Black people matters, and a lot of times we find that the mindset, perhaps it's because of slavery or what we've been taught, but sometimes the mindset is not of a possibility mindset then. So how do you begin to change your mindset to believe that no matter what, I can be that and I can do that?
To change the mindset, one must also change the attitude, how you see yourself and how you see other people. First of all, you need to identify people who are already successful and people that will serve as your inspiration. My mother was very active in non-profit organization, and she was the chairperson of Plan International, and managed to accomplish so many community projects. So she has greatly inspired me on my journey towards the leadership, because though she never studied psychology, she has been a great counselor, and anyone with a problem used to approach her for advice. And I believe that to be successful and for one to accomplish anything, you have to identify your talents, get to know your strength, and also get to know your weaknesses so that you can turn them into strength or use them as building blocks for your success. And the way Global Pan-Africanism Network grew from humble beginnings to now, we are registered in Ghana, we are registered in Nigeria, Sierra Leone, in France, and in the United States. It shows that once, if you are persistent and you're focused on your vision, anyone is capable of accomplishing great things. And I believe that United States of Africa is a vision whose time has come. In 2016, when I was starting, I had only 600 followers. But now I have more than 351,000 followers on the page. And this has really inspired me and has also inspired young Pan-Africanists to be able to make contributions towards the realization of African unity. Yeah. And also, I've been using the page to promote tourism in Africa. And I'll be highlighting best towns in the Caribbean, the Pacific, so that people get to see the positive side of what the Western media hardly shows about Africa, Caribbean, and also Pacific. Yes. Because I find it very important for us to be able to redefine who we are as a people and as a nation, at the same time promote positive image.
Yes, yes. Indeed, and that is certainly a wonderful note to wrap things up on. I'm just going to ask you quickly just for one word of advice. As I said, I know we're in Black History Month being, observed in America, but, we've adopted it in some ways as well in the Caribbean and perhaps other parts of the world. But, one positive note that you can share with your viewers as we wrap up this interview, and with you yourself being a trailblazer, rising from humble beginnings and making not only an impact in Africa, but across the world.
One advice that I'll leave it to our viewers on Trailblazer Show is to never give up. And the sky is the limit for people who think that nothing is impossible. And the only way that you can grow is for you to be able to change and adapt to circumstances and respond to the challenges of time in a positive way, so that they provide you an opportunity for you to realize your full potential and build your resilience, because resilience is very important. Problems usually hardens people, but more importantly, they make us very resilient, so that we are able to solve the challenges that may come on our lives. There is no life that is full of roses, so we have to be very optimistic and hopeful, and keep up the fight until we accomplish what we were born for to accomplish, and reach our aspirations.
Indeed. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story all the way from Nairobi, Kenya. I've never been to Africa, so I definitely, need to make that trip one day. We can make it happen.
You're welcome to Africa. I'm really delighted, and thank you very much for inviting me to Trailblazers Show. It's really inspiring, and I would like to send warm greetings to my people over there in the Caribbean.
Yes. Thank you so much, Daniel Mwambuno. Really appreciate it, and continue to keep up the fantastic work that you're doing, and continue to be a trailblazer.
Thank you very much. I'll not just be a trailblazer, but I'll keep on raising more trailblazers so that we can bring them to the show.
That is so true. Thank you.